What's up, guys? Welcome back to Spoil Ron TV. Another reaction video for you guys. And I've really gotten into this new show called American Gods. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but if you didn't, um, you guys gotta start waking up. It's such an underrated show. Completely underrated. It deserves so much more attention than it's gotten so far. Obviously, it started to develop a cult following, which is why this video was made and why so many other videos based on this series have been made. But it definitely deserves more because this show, if you, I don't know if you guys, like I said, you guys have probably seen a few commercials for it, or maybe you haven't heard of it at all. But for those who have seen the promos for it and are like, second guessing, spending time watching the show because you think it's going to be corny or it's like a rip off of another show or something like that, let me just tell you right now, this is probably one of the most amazing and intriguing shows on TV right now. If like just ignore all your prejudice, just check it out. Just watch the first episode. And even go as far as watching the second, because that's when things really start kicking off. Because they're starting things very slow, because they're trying to build the character of Shadow Moon, who's the protagonist. But once you get over that small little hill, I can already tell that it's going to get crazy from the second episode, because things haven't even really gotten started yet. Haven't gotten started yet. But just from that second episode, I can tell that things about to go down a dark path, and it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. Let me calm down. All right, so guys, haven't checked it out. Please give it a shot. Give it a shot, man. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be fantastic. But um, apparently, this YouTuber has decoded the mystery behind all the American gods because they use aliases on the show. So I guess disguise their true identities. And I'm really glad that this YouTuber has found a way. I don't know if he read the book or if he's just using intuition, but he's identified their real names and what they mean to history or to their cultures which they originated from. So yeah, I'm gonna start from the beginning. Let's get right into it.
Made his name as a writer of comics, most notably the Sandman series. But since he has gone on to become one of the most respected authors of fantasy novels ever. In truth, however, while you will typically find his novels in the fantasy section of a bookstore, his storytelling style is so unique it defies the label fantasy. More than anything, Neil Gaiman's novels are stories about stories. They explore the way that stories can exist in the mind and take on a life of their own. Literally. Gaiman will usually set his novels in a contemporary world, but weave ancient myths and legends into it, which are also stories. In his 2001 novel, American Gods, Gaiman does just that. He sets the story in a contemporary America, seen through the eyes of the protagonist, Shadow Moon, then slowly pulls Shadow into the realm of stories that live and breathe, the realm of the gods. These gods don't simply exist in people's minds, they are personified physical characters. Or are they? Shadow is led on a mission by Wednesday, one of the old gods. Wednesday hopes to join forces with the other old gods in order to fight the new gods, who are attempting to wipe the old gods from the minds of Americans, thus destroying them. With the Starz Network new American Gods series set to premiere soon, I thought this would be a good time to make a video revealing the background of the old gods who will make an appearance in the show. In case you're worried about spoilers, I will not reveal much of the plot, aside from the basic premise I just described, and will simply give you some context as to the mythology behind each of these characters, and how they ended up in America. So, let's start with the character that drags Shadow Moon into this whole mess in the first place, Wednesday.
Today's my day.
In the novel, Wednesday's identity may not be obvious right away, that is, if you're not familiar with the origin of the English words for the days of the week.
Tuesday,
Wednesday, Thursday, Day,
Friend's Day,
and Saturn's Day.
Sorry, do you mind? You're a Roman god?
Yes, that's right. The word Wednesday originally meant Woden's Day, Woden being the Anglo-Saxon version of Odin, the Norse god. The Norse and Saxons once shared a very similar culture and religion. However, after relocating to Britain, the Saxons adopted Christianity. Yet, there are still remnants of the Saxons' pagan past in the modern version of their language. The language I'm speaking right now, somewhat poorly, English. Odin and his son Thor are currently two of the most widely known figures from ancient mythology, due to several very successful Hollywood movies being made about them. But in case you aren't that familiar with the Allfather's backstory, I'll describe it briefly. According to Norse mythology, Odin is the ruler of Asgard, one of 9 realms connected by the ginormous world tree, Yggdrasil. Odin and his brothers Vili and Ve created the world from the body of the giant Ymir, including the realm we humans live in, Midgard. Odin is considered to be the wisest and greatest of the Norse gods, and has an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, for which he sacrificed one of his own eyes at the well of Mimir. He often appears as a long-bearded man wearing a cloak, broad hat, and carrying the enchanted spear, Gungnir, his weapon of choice. His 2 ravens, Thought and Mind, are often close by. Norse warriors who died honorably in battle could be chosen by the Valkyrie to join Odin in his great hall, Valhalla, where they would enjoy drinking, feasting, fighting, and I gotta suspect some hanky-panky until Ragnarok, the death and rebirth of the world. So, how did this god of ancient Scandinavian people end up in the US of A? Well, according to the novel American Gods, Wednesday first arrived on the shores of the New World in 813 AD, with a party of Norse explorers almost 200 years before Leif Erikson. The party sacrificed one of the locals to Odin, which resulted in their own death at the hands of a native war party. But Wednesday remained in America ever since.
So what's the plan? War.
The first god Shadow and Wednesday meet on their travels initially describes himself as an Irish leprechaun, despite being close to 7 feet tall.
How'd you do it? With panache.
Mad Sweeney definitely defies the stereotypical depiction of a leprechaun. And yet, his appearance would not be out of place in Irish folklore about the Dina Shi, or Mound Folk, the supernatural fairy-like race that leprechauns originated from. In Irish and Scottish mythology, the Dina Shi come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and appearances. Leprechauns are only one classification among many. The Dina Shi live in an invisible world, parallel to our own, often inhabiting and guarding over hills, stones, trees, and other elements in nature. Folklore regarding the Dina Shi may have derived from mythology about the Tuatha De Danann, pre-Christian gods of Gaelic Ireland. Mad Sweeney's name, however, is a reference to Builla Hina, a mad king from Irish folklore who is cursed to wander all of Ireland until his death.
Damn.
Whether or not Sweeney is a leprechaun or a mad king is uncertain, but one thing we do know for sure is that he's Irish and enjoys a good fight. In American Gods, it is revealed that Mad Sweeney arrived in America with a young girl from Bantry Bay, Ireland, during the Great Irish Famine, which forced millions of Irish refugees to relocate to North America in the mid-19th century. The next god Shadow and Wednesday meet on their travels in a modest house in Chicago is a remnant of the pre-Christian Slavic tribes. He is not so much a good god, but rather a bad god. In fact, his name, Chernobog, literally means black god or evil god.
Wow.
The polar opposite of the Slavic god Bielobog, god of light and sun. Or perhaps both of them are dual identities of the same being.
These guys play for keeps. Whatever. White lightning.
It's difficult to say what role Chernobog truly played in Proto-Slavic mythology, as there are not many reliable records regarding him. Many scholars believe the ancient Slavs were influenced by the Persian concept of dualism, which would explain the character of Chernobog and his opposing brother Bielobog. However, in the pantheon of Proto-Slavic deities, Chernobog and Bielobog are far less important than the opposing gods Perun and Velis, or the sun god Dasbog, the giver of fortune. But none of them were featured in a classic Disney animated movie like Chernobog.
Wow, man.
Chernobog's companions
Disney did
Zorya
everything.
Utranyaya and Zorya Vachurnyaya are also references to dualistic Slavic mythology. The Zorya are 2 guardian goddesses also known as the Auras. Zorya Utranyaya is the morning star who opens the gates to Dasbog's palace in the morning, and Zorya Vachurnyaya is the evening star who closes the gates once he returns in the evening. Both goddesses guard against Simargl, the Doomsday Hound. In American Gods, the Zorya have a third sister, Zorya Pulnochnaya, the Midnight Star, who is largely an invention by Gaiman based on a few references in Slavic mythology. In American Gods, it is implied that Chernobog and the Zorya arrived in America with Russian immigrants, first arriving in New York and later moving to Chicago. It is likely they would have been Eastern Orthodox Christians, but still might have had a reverence for the folklore and superstitions of the Old Country.
In the old country,
Wow.
I'm forgotten. And here, I'm like a bad memory.
Next up, we have the dapper old gentleman that Shadow, Wednesday, and Chernobog meet in the cafeteria of the House on the Rock, Mr. Nancy. Nancy is better known as Anansi, the spider spirit from West African and Caribbean folklore. His name literally translates as spider in the Akan language, and the tales of his many exploits originated with the Ashanti people of Ghana. In folklore, Anansi sometimes appears as a spider and sometimes as a man, or a man-spider, or a spider-man.
What the?
He is a trickster who often deceives his fellow animal spirits or other gods of various kinds, but he is also associated with wisdom and stories. The sky god Niame once possessed all the stories in the world, but gave them to Anansi after he completed several tasks, thus making the spider god of all stories.
Wow.
Anansi folklore originated in what is today Ghana, but spread throughout West Africa, eventually reaching the Caribbean and the Americas via the Atlantic slave trade. In the USA, Anansi became known as Aunt Nancy, and was often associated with stories of Briar Rabbit, who is also a trickster animal spirit of African origin. Mr. Nancy also happens to be the title character in the follow-up novel to American Gods, Anansi Boys.
The web of the cosmos, and Anansi.
This is good.
Shadow and Wednesday first meet Mr. Ibis at the Ibis and Jekyll family funeral parlor,
I haven't seen
which
them
is
yet.
appropriately in Cairo, Illinois. But the character is introduced earlier in American Gods as the author of several Coming to America stories.
Oh, that's him.
The
Yeah,
scholarly
okay.
work
Now I
Ibis
remember.
does on the side of his funeral home business is appropriate considering he's the ancient Egyptian god of knowledge, Thoth.
Go on. I'm waiting.
In the pantheon of Egyptian gods, Thoth plays a very important role, as pretty much all scholarly pursuits like science, writing, measurement, not to mention the moon and magic, are attributed to him. In Egyptian mythology, Thoth is credited with a number of scientific achievements. For instance, the creation of the 365-day calendar. He is usually depicted as a man with the head of an ibis, explaining his character name in American Gods. And he has a scientific method for judging the dead, which explains why he runs a funeral parlor. His partner at the parlor, Mr. Jekyll, is Anubis, the jackal-headed god of embalming and graves. In Egyptian mythology, the pair of them are responsible for allowing a soul entrance to the afterlife. Anubis ushers the soul to the Hall of Two Truths in Duat, the underworld, where Thoth weighs the soul's heart on a scale against the feather of Ma'at. If the heart is as light as the feather, the soul can enter the afterlife. But if the heart weighs more, it is eaten by the demon Amit, and the soul remains in limbo. In other words, the Ibis and Jekyll family funeral parlor is not a place you want to end up if you have a heavy heart.
You have died, Mrs. Fadil. And it is time for you to come with me.
In the novel, Mr. Ibis remarks that he and Jekyll, as well as their other companions, Bast, the goddess of cats, and Horus, the god of the sky, did not arrive in America until after the Civil War, when they began to rise in popularity among African Americans. The next god, or rather goddess, Wednesday and Shadow approach, is flourishing in modern America despite being of pagan origin. The Germanic goddess Eostra gave her name to the modern Christian holiday of Easter. In Germanic mythology, Eostra, or Ostara, is the goddess of spring, fertility, and renewal. She is also associated with sunlight and the dawn, and may be a Germanic version of the Greek goddess of the dawn, Eos. The pagan Anglo-Saxons are thought to have held feasts in Eostra's honor around the time of the spring equinox, and after their conversion to Christianity, they may have adapted a few of these traditions into the Christian celebration of the resurrection. There are theories as to how the whole Easter egg and bunny thing derived from pagan tradition as well, but these are difficult to substantiate, and the traditions have gone through many alterations since the pre-Christian era. In any case, Easter is to this day one of America's most popular holidays, dating back to the Civil War era. So, the American God's character of Easter no doubt has much worship to draw from, even if it's indirect worship.
I'm doing just fine.
Finally, we arrive at a character who is introduced early in American Gods, but whom Shadow and Wednesday don't actually meet during their travels. In the novel, she appears as a prostitute who goes by the name Bilquis. This is the Arabic name of the Queen of Sheba, a figure that appears in several Jewish, Christian, and Islamic texts. While there are several variations on the Queen of Sheba tale, the general gist of it is this. The biblical King Solomon summons the queen from the wealthy southern kingdom of Sheba. The queen arrives bearing many valuable gifts, whereupon she challenges King Solomon with several riddles, which he solves. At this point in the story, the queen may or may not convert to Judaism, and may or may not conceive a son by Solomon, depending on which source you read. In American Gods, Bilquis is referred to as a half-demon. This is derived from Jewish and Arabic mythology that considers the queen to be a jinn, a cunning demon that may assume many forms, including human. In mythology, Bilquis is often depicted as a seductress, which might explain her profession in American Gods. The novel never reveals exactly how Bilquis arrived in the USA, but given that she is a figure in the big three Abrahamic religions and is often depicted in religious iconography, she could have arrived in America with immigrants from any number of countries. So, now that I've covered the most prominent old gods in American Gods, I hope you have a better insight into their characters and the story as a whole. There are several other old gods that I will have to cut for time. But if you enjoyed this video and would like to see another video covering the rest of the gods featured in the novel and series, let me know in the comments below. And be sure to like and subscribe for more videos, including my review of the American Gods series.
Nice.
As for the new gods, Technical Boy, Media, and Mr. World, their mythologies are still being written. So let's never forget the old gods, ensuring the new gods can never wipe them out. Until next time, maybe on Wednesday.
Nice. So yeah, we got a few more videos to watch. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do my reactions to the other two videos. You know, American Gods, who are the old gods, and American Gods, who are the new gods. But if I do, I obviously will. You know, you'll see it on my channel. But yeah, this is a lot of information to take in. Some of these I already knew, but others caught me off guard. Um, so excited! I can't wait to see how a lot of these guys are going to be revealed in the show. They've already more or less been introduced because, like I said, a few of them caught me off guard. But I really want to see how, like, you know, when they all come together to fight the new gods, you know, what's going to go down, like how they're going to show off their abilities. And as far as the new guys go, oh man, this. Let me know in the comments who you guys are rooting for because I'm trying not to spoil the show. That's why I'm like hesitating a lot. I really don't want to say too much because it's for like people gonna be like why do you put like a spoiler warning in the beginning of this? I'm gonna try my best to restrain myself from talking too much. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if you watch the show, and please don't don't ruin it for the people who haven't seen it yet. Please don't put any spoilers in the comments. Just have a conversation amongst yourselves about the new guys and the old gods. But don't reveal any plot points in the show. Just like, you know, come up with your theories about, you know, more or less what their origins are, especially the new guys, because we always got, you know, a little sample of what the old guys are about, but the new guys are still up in the air. So yeah, um, amazing. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.